Chapter 13, One Woman Commando Unit. Wednesday, January 9th, 1935. I hear something funny when I get up in the next morning. And when I go outside, I find Piper stuffing extra clothes in our laundry bags. "What are you doing?" I ask her. "What does it look like? You won't help. What am I supposed to do?" "You're just lucky that I caught you and not my mom or dad," I say. But as soon as this is out of my mouth, I'm sorry I said it. It sounds pretty lame. "I'm lucky, huh?" She smiles, so pleased with herself she can hardly stand it. "I guess that means you won't tell." My ears are hot. I feel big and stupid and I don't know what to say. So I go back inside, hoping someone else will catch her. While I'm in the bathroom, looking for my toothbrush, my mom corners me. "Moose, honey," she says, "I have some good news for you." She's smiling like she wants something. Things are going to change around here. My mom takes a lock of hair that's supposed to be on one side of my part and puts it on the other. "Mom," I raise my eyebrows. Sometimes she needs reminding that I'm not 5 anymore. She smiles and nods her head as if she understands she's made a mistake, then gives me a once over. "Have you grown out of your trousers?" I look down at my feet. A good 4 inches of sock are showing. "Go put your other ones on, the brown ones," my mother says. I go in my room, happy to have an excuse to put a door between us. "I met with Carrie Kelly yesterday," my mother calls us through the door. "Oh?" "She says we need to do a clean sweep, throw away Nat's button box. There'll be no more counting for her, no more obsessions." My gut tightens. I come out with the brown corduroys on. "Mom," I squeeze the word out of my throat. "Mrs. Kelly said we can't let ourselves get in Natalie's way. She said we're stumbling block. If Natalie's going to change, we have to change first." I blow air out of my mouth like I'm whistling with no sound. "So now it's our fault." "Moose," my mother insists. "You know what I mean." "You only met with her once, Mom. Did she even meet Natalie?" "Of course. She spent all afternoon with her," my mom says, and then natters on about how Nat's supposed to count. Not supposed to rock. Not supposed to play with her buttons. Not supposed to do anything she actually likes to do. "Yes, ma'am," I say, searching this medicine cabinet for my toothbrush. Then I figure out where it is. Natalie. My mother follows me as I march into Natalie's room. Nat isn't there. My father has taken her out to the parade grounds to give my mom a break. Yep, here's the toothbrush. Natalie has stacks of buttons in perfect lines all around it, like little soldiers guarding something precious. I reach out for my toothbrush, but I can't make myself disturb her perfect button world. "Well, actually," my mother's voice has softened. "There's a Weedle in it now." I freeze, my hand on Nat's door. "This involves you. I've lined up some piano lessons to teach in the city. The warden is very well connected, and he is kind enough to introduce me to a number of families who are looking for a piano teacher. We need the money, Moose. Carrie Kelly costs a small fortune, and so does the Esther P. Marinoff. So I'll need you to come straight home from school. I have to be on the 4 o'clock boat, and that is probably cutting it too close." She shakes her head and bites her bottom lip. "I'm supposed to watch Natalie? Mrs. Kelly says you can take her with you wherever you go, just like any other sister." This stops me. I face my mom. "Mom, nobody takes his sister with him everywhere he goes." My mom's shoulders hunch down a little. Excitement drains out of her face. "Well, they could," she says. I stare at her, suspicious now. "What do you mean, wherever I go?" I ask, waving the tooth powder at her. "Wherever you go." "Mom, it's dangerous." "You're the only one who's telling me how." "That's what I mean." My mother is all excited again. I am back in the bathroom mixing the tooth powder and water in the palm of my hand. My mom has followed me. Her eyes are shining and she's smiling at the end of every sentence. "That's what's changing. Mrs. Kelly says this is just what Natalie needs. We need to help Natalie join the human race." "Mom," I brush my teeth with my finger. "We live on an island with 278 murderers, kidnappers, thieves. Maybe this isn't the exact part of the human race we want her to join." Funny you should mention this, because I was talking to B. Trixel about this yesterday, and you know what she said? She said we are so lucky to live here because Alcatraz is a lot safer than any neighborhood in San Francisco. She says she never locks her door. She never has to. Our bad guys are all locked up. You know how your dad's always saying the ratio of inmate to guard is 3-to-1 here compared to 10-to-1 at San Quentin? Which means Alcatraz is a much safer prison. And in the city, oh great, I mutter as I make a cup with my hands and run water into it, then rinse the tooth powder out of my mouth. It's safer than San Quentin, the second worst prison in the state. And in the city, my mother says this louder, as if to drown out my comment. B. Trixel says those same criminals are out free. Does the warden even know Natalie's here, or does he still think she's at the Esther P. Marinoff? Of course he knows, Moose. But that doesn't mean I want you to parade her around in front of him. I won't lie to you. He isn't wild about the idea of her living here. Then she should stay inside. Don't be silly. You don't need to hide. Go about your business like you would if Nat wasn't with you. Just don't go looking for the warden, all right? Natalie doesn't know how to swim, Mom. What if she falls in? Well, we do have to be careful of that, but I don't want you near the water either. Anything that's not safe for Natalie is not safe for you. So if you're really thinking it's too dangerous here, Moose, then we should move back home. Good idea, I say, my voice low and hard. Moose. My mother's eyes are like the lit ends of a cigarette burning into me. Then I remember baseball. You don't really mean every day. Yes, I do. Well, I can't Monday. I'm playing ball after school. She sighs. I have lessons scheduled for Monday, Moose, but I have nothing for Tuesday. What do you say I try to keep that day free for you? Monday is when we play, Mom, not Tuesday, Scout said. Well, ask the Scout person to play on Tuesday. I hardly know the guy. How am I supposed to get him to put together a whole game just for me? Ask him. That's how, my mother says, and then softens. Look, I know this isn't easy for you. I know you'd rather not have any responsibilities, but the fact is, you do. If you play baseball in Alcatraz, you can play every day. Almost no one plays here. Graham doesn't live down the street anymore, honey. My mom sighs. We can't do this without you. Being around kids is good for Natalie, Mrs. Kelly says so. And if she's to get accepted at Esther P. Marinoff, my mom is like a one-woman commando unit. She could win land battles, air battles, water battles, outer space battles too, probably. I wonder if there would be a time to get Natalie and then get to school in time to play ball with the guys. It would be embarrassing to have her there, but at least I could play. Could I take her to San Francisco? I ask. No. Why not? I just said it isn't safe there. It isn't safe there, but it's safe here. Crammed right up close with America's worst criminals. We've been through this already, Moose. How long will you be gone? I ask. Even when I'm here, you'll need to take her outside with you, Moose. What kind of kid experience is she going to have following me around? She can't mean this. Please someone tell me she didn't say this. Moose. My mother reaches for my chin again and tips my face towards her. I need you. Your dad needs you, and Natalie needs you most of all. Let's give this a try, shall we? Let's just see how it goes. I pull my head away and walk towards my mom. What if I don't want to see how it goes? What if I've been seeing how it goes my whole life? I whisper. Tuesday. See if Scout can play on Tuesday. Is that too much to ask? Chapter 14. Al Capone's Baseball. Same day, Wednesday, January 9th, 1935. I'm so mad at my mom, that's all I can think about. I don't care about whether Piper got caught or Jimmy or Annie had any trouble getting extra clothes by their moms. I don't care about anything except figuring out how I'm going to get Scout to change baseball day. When I get to Miss Bimp's class, Scout already is in his seat. We chat for a minute, then I take a deep breath and blurt it out. Do you think we could get a game together for Tuesday after school instead of Mondays? We play Mondays, Scout says, working a hole in his ledger with his pencil. Yeah, I know, but I can't come Mondays. How about Tuesdays? Do they lock you in on Monday? He laughs. I don't. My mom teaches piano. I gotta get back to watch my sister. I'll leave out the part about my sister being older than me and nutty as a fruitcake. He nods like he understands. Maybe we could play, another game on Tuesdays. I say again, trying. Piper said they play ball in Alcatraz, the prisoners, I mean. Maybe you could play with them, or better yet, get us both in the game. He smiles. His smile is the only part of him that doesn't move fast. We're not allowed. Oh, well, wouldn't want to play with them anyways. Probably steal all the bases. I laugh. Think Capone plays? My throat tightens. Who knew not talking about Capone was going to be so hard? I don't know, I say. I heard he plays first base. I'd like to see that. Do they let you, watch? I shake my head. Nope. But if the baseball comes flying over the prison wall, you get to keep him. Really? Al Capone's baseball. I don't guess you know it was him. You have one? Nope. Well, if you get one, I'd like to have a look-see. Beats getting my shirt washed, that's for sure. Yep. I smile at this. Anyway, I can't play next Tuesday. I gotta watch my kid sister and my two little brothers. But maybe the Tuesday after next. It was fun playing with you. You were great on second. I'll try. Okay? Okay, I say. Miss Bimps is here now. You get a convict baseball. You'll show me first, right? Scout whispers. Sure, I nod. Will I have to pay? Nope. I get one. You'll see it free and clear, I say. You're all right, Moose. He smiles, his warm, slow smile. and I scoot back to my seat. Chapter 15. Looking for Scarface. Thursday, January 10th, 1935. The next day, it's hot out. It's like this home in Santa Monica sometimes. In the middle of winter, all of a sudden, we'd get a summer day. On the way home from school, Annie told me we're meeting at the parade grounds, and we're going to head down to some secret spot where you can watch the convicts walk up to the cell house at 4 o'clock. Annie says they do this all the time. It isn't against the rules, and sometimes they even see Capone. When I get to our apartment, my mom's music bag and her hat are waiting at the door. I forgot to ask. What did Scout say yesterday? She asks. He said he'd try. See? She smiles at me. Was that so bad? Natalie paces back and forth in front of the window, digging on her collarbone with her chin. My mother stops and looks at me. She seems to be thinking of something about this, but changes her mind. Remember, just treat her like you would a normal sister. This isn't babysitting. Whatever you say, Mom, I say, watching Nat fuss with her clothes like something's too tight. What's the matter? I ask Natalie. She's fine, my mother answers for her. We've been all over. We've had a lovely day. My mom glances quickly at me and then away. She looks upset. It's just hot, that's all. My mom rubs her neck. She wants her buttons. Well, yes, my mom admits. But I'm sure once you take her out, she'll forget all about it. Mrs. Kelly says it's just a matter of redirecting her attention. My mom's voice isn't quite so sure as her words are. She and Natalie have clearly had a hard time today. Don't you think it's kind of mean taking her buttons away? My mom stares at the curtains. We have to try this. You'll take good care of her, she asks, her gloves hand on the door. Sure. I'll be back on the 6:30, my mom says. In my room, I dig through my drawer for my swim trunks. Come on, Nat, I say. Nat jumps up, motors to her room, and then shuts the door. I knock a hard rap. Natalie, let's go. She doesn't open the door. I knock again, then push it open a crack. She's standing in her bathing suit. Oh no, I say, you can't wear that. The warden was very clear about this. No girls are allowed to wear suits on the account of the convicts. But how in the world do I explain this to Natalie? It's hot and she wants to wear her bathing suit. That's what we did at home. Natalie, you can't wear that. Hot, she says. Yeah, I know, but you can't wear your bathing suit. Put on something cool, but not that. Hot, she shouts. Okay, you're hot. I'm hot too. Moose cool, moose bathing suit. You're a girl, Natalie, and you've got, girl parts, and you have to keep it covered up. It's not like home. How do I explain this to her? Moose cool, she repeats. There's no arguing with this. Back in my room, I put on my corduroys again, which is like deciding to take a bath, which is deciding to bake each of my legs. I find Nat's dress and hand it to her. She hands it back. Moose hot, Natalie cool. She's almost smiling. Her face is full of victory. She's not about to change. She's not that crazy. I would laugh if it wasn't so frustrating. I don't want to miss the cons because I'm curious, first off, but also because now I have to prove I'm not a goody-goody. Nat fusses with the straps at her suit. That doesn't look comfortable, Nat. Why don't you put on a blue dress? You always like your blue dress. I rub her dress against my cheek. See? Soft. I'm just thinking I'm wasting my breath when Natalie starts to take off her suit. I walk out of my room and close the door. All done, Nat? I ask when I hear her come out. When I turn around, she's standing in the living room, totally naked. I can feel my whole face get red. Even the tips of my ears burn. I don't want to see my sister naked. No, you can't do that. I run for the window and yank the drapes closed. Now she's in the kitchen, laying on the cool floor. At least this is better. It's not so bad from the back. I think about the time we took Natalie to my cousin Cricket's wedding. It was boiling that day too, and right in the middle of the ceremony, Natalie took off her clothes. But she wasn't so old. It wasn't like now. The clock on the mantel is ticking, 3:15. We're supposed to meet at 3:30. It takes 10 minutes to get to the west stairs on the parade grounds. I have 5 minutes to get out the door, and a crazy naked sister on the floor. How does my mom get her dressed anyway? You could take your buttons outside, but only if you wear your blue dress. I get the button box from where my mom has hidden it inside the radio cabinet. What else am I supposed to do? I shake the buttons down by her ear and try to pull the dress over her head. She doesn't take it off. You have to wear your underwear too. I won't look. She doesn't move a muscle. Her bare skin looks so white against the floor. Come on, Nat, I plead. Swim, she says. You want to go swimming? Natalie, swimming. Okay, here's what we'll do. If you wear your blue dress and your underwear, I'll take you swimming. I have no idea where I can take her swimming, but I will worry about that later. Swim, blue dress, underwear, swim later. I try to talk to her in her language. Moose double, she says. Double what? Double swear. I laugh. Yeah, okay. I double swear. Miraculously, she puts on her dress, her underwear, and her socks and her shoes, and we're out the door. 3:25. If we walk fast, we'll make it. But every time I turn around, Nat stopped to rub her toe on the pavement. Then we have to count the birds. I try to get her to count and walk, but apparently this is impossible in Natalie World. I don't know what time it is when we walk across the parade grounds to the west stairwell. No one is there, but we can't be that late. I run down the stairs, leaving more and more distance between Nat and me. Then I hear them. I'm about to shout, "Wait up," when Piper says, "Come on, Annie. I've lived around prisons my whole life, but I've never been inside the cell house. All we ever do is watch the cons walk up. Big deal. Don't you ever wonder what it's like in there? We've got the biggest gangster in the world here. Don't you want to shake hands with Al Capone?" The laundry plan isn't even finished and Piper's already hatching another. I can't believe her. I strain my ears, but I can't hear what Annie says back. Annie's voice is soft and sweet. Piper's is loud and scratchy. "Al Capone," Piper says, and then I hear her stumbling around behind me. It's Natalie. She's on her feet, but a bush is whapping back and forth like she's just tripped over it. "You okay?" I ask. "What's that?" Annie says, and then suddenly Annie and Piper appear. Piper makes a gravelly sound with her throat. "What's she doing here?" Piper asks. I try to change the subject. "Where are Teresa and Jimmy? Didn't you hear? Mrs. Madman had a baby boy, named him Rocky," Annie says. She wipes the sweat off her forehead. They have a bunch of relatives over to see the new baby, and Teresa and Jimmy have to entertain their cousins. Piper looks from me to Natalie and back again. "Can't your mom watch her?" she asks. "She teaches piano lessons." "How often?" "Every day," I mutter, glancing back at Natalie, who is using her dress to fan herself. We all get a good look at her ruffled underwear. Thank goodness she put it on. "She better not do that when the cons are around," Annie says. "They can't actually see us, right?" I ask. "Right," Piper says. "Come on, they'll be up soon." The path is narrower here, so we go single file. Natalie, Piper, then me, then Annie. I've never walked over here and suddenly it seems like a bad idea. I'm wondering if maybe I should turn around when I see a huge chain link fence that blocks our path. The fence is maybe 12 or 14 feet high, with three strands of barbed wire run across the top. It goes up the hill where it connects to the rec yard wall, and down the hill as far as I can see. Maybe even to the water, though I can't tell from here. In the distance on the other side of the fence, I see the steps that lead up to the recreation yard. High up in the corner of the rec yard is a guard tower no bigger than one man ticket booth. I imagine there's a guard with a Browning automatic training his sights on the convicts, watching to make sure they don't pull any funny business. "That's where they go up?" I ask. Piper doesn't answer. She's fiddling with the lock, a key in her hand. A big drop of sweat drips down her face. More drops follow and my legs go stiff. "You have the key?" my voice croaks. Piper takes one look at me and snorts. "Of course. You can't see him very well unless you go close. We do this all the time," Annie says. Her voice is kind. "But the convicts can't see you." "Nope. Not where we stand," Piper says. "But we gotta get in position before they come up the stairs. That's the important thing." "You go ahead. I'll stay here." I try to make my noise strong and clear. I can't take Natalie, up there. Natalie, like she has anything to do with it. "Chicken?" Piper clucks, flapping her arms. "Come on, Annie." She spits in the bushes. "We're late." I watch them until they disappear behind a bush. "Would you get a load of that guy?" I hear Piper say. "Ah, Piper, give it a rest," Annie says. Natalie and I settle on our side of the fence. I climb the hill to a spot that seems safe. Nat is still standing up. "Nat, get down," I tell her. Natalie's eyes pass over me, the way an electric fan moves on its course. But to my surprise, she gets down. We settle in, huddled together on our bellies in the small space, which gives us good cover and a faraway view of the steps going up. I definitely don't want to be any closer. For once I'm actually glad Natalie's with me. Piper would have been 10 times pushier if Nat hadn't been there, and Annie was clearly on my side. We don't hear anything but birds chirping, the lap of the water against the shore, and the revving of a boat. I don't see. Sound is strange, near the water. Sometimes faraway things sound close, and then I hear a dull, steady pounding sound. Footsteps, dozens of them. Then the first head pops into view, a dark gray officer's hat, and another, then white hats, denim shirts, and pants. White hats, denim shirts, and pants. I strained to make out the faces, but were much too far away. "One of those guys has a big scar down the side of his face. That's Al Capone," I whispered to Natalie. I wonder if Piper and Annie are close enough to spot Capone. I wonder if they can see the 85 printed on his back. The first guard stops at the top of the stairs. He steps aside and lets the prisoners pass by one through the recreation yard door until the guard is only left. He takes one look down the steps and across the industry buildings. Why is he doing that? Doesn't he already know they're all inside? Ned is on her belly beside me, running her hand over the dirt, organizing it in little pieces. She doesn't notice the men. She doesn't notice anything. She could be anywhere. Anywhere that's dirt. Chapter 16. Capone washed your shirts. Monday, January 14th, 1935. The next Monday, I'm in a really grumpy mood on account of it's baseball day for everyone except for me. I hardly notice putting on my first convict wash shirt. It's only after I get it on I even remember. I take the shirt off and expect it, but I don't find anything unusual. It's my shirt and it's clean, and that's about it. At breakfast, my mom doesn't say anything about finding extra clothes in our bags. So either my mom has put the laundry away yet, or more likely, Piper got to them before my mom saw them. Piper is quite the criminal. When I get on the boat, there she is with 3 laundry bags. Then Jimmy and Annie pile on board, thumping their bags down by Piper. Piper's on her hands and knees on the deck. What are you doing? I ask. Too many to carry. She sits on one bag to smash the shirts down so she can add another to the stack on the top. Unless, of course, you'll help. How did you get home? I ask. As if you care. I was just wondering, I say, when I noticed Mr. Trixel dressed in civilian clothes. Day off, I guess. I sure wish my father would get a day off. But when I asked him about it, he said criminals are criminals every day of the week. They don't take a day off, so neither can I. Why are you bringing laundry back to school? Mr. Trixel asks, without taking the cigarette out of his mouth. It's for a science project, Piper exclaims. We're comparing the weight of dry cloth to the weight of wet cloth. Clever, Mr. Trixel looks at Annie and Jimmy and me. But I thought you kids went to different schools. Citywide project, Piper says. All the 7th grade science classes in San Francisco have to do it. Mr. Trixel shakes his big head and takes a drag of his cigarette. You got an answer for everything, don't you, Piper? He breathes the smoke out of his nose, just like your old man. Piper nods. Yes, sir. When the boat docks at Fort Mason, Piper has the laundry in 3 fully stuffed bags. This is still too much for her to carry. It's not like she has dead bodies in there or anything. And I did promise the warden I'd help her. I pick up 2 bags and carry one under each arm. Piper smiles at me, like she's won. I pretend not to notice. Mr. Trixel didn't believe that story about the science project, I tell her. Didn't check the bags, did he? I shake my head. Well then, he couldn't have been that suspicious. When we get to school, I wonder what she's going to do now. There's not enough time to give the clothes back before the bell. But apparently, Piper has already got this all figured out. She walks right into her home economics room and unlocks the supply closet. Does this girl have keys to everything? My plan is to stay away from her. I helped her get the stupid bags in. Now I'm done. But at lunch, when I see her in the cafeteria with the laundry bags, I find myself drifting over there. Moose, Moose, guess what? Scout calls as she runs through the cafeteria. You got your Tuesday game. I traded babysitting with this kid in my neighborhood. Stanford can't make it, but everyone else is on. I thump my chest like an ape, and the smile is so big it feels like my face is splitting in two. If you were a girl, I'd give you a big sloppy kiss, I say. Did my best, guy. I like to please the folks who bunk with criminals. Do you mind? Piper barks. I'm conducting business here. You get your shirt back, Scout? I ask. Yep, he nods to me as Piper hands him a neatly folded shirt to the fat kid Deekman. Hey, Deekman says, this is just clean. Yeah, so? No blood spatters, no bullet holes, nothing, another kid asks. Al Capone laundered that shirt, Piper says. It's a collector's item. How do we know that? Deekman says. A girl blows air out of her mouth. It sure doesn't look like it, she says. What'd you expect? Piper asks. She snatches the shirt out of her hands and holds it up so everyone can see. Al Capone's fingerprints are on that sleeve. The sweat of his brow dropped on this pocket. Piper's clearly gone too far. Now she's selling Al's sweat. The girl inspects the shirt again. She shakes her head, her eye twitching. I didn't pay a nickel to have my blouse washed, says another girl, who had made Piper promise her blouse wouldn't come back with one single drop of blood on it. Yes, you did, I say. Dell cuts in front of the line. Nobody minds. In fact, they seem relieved, like they were waiting for him to take a stand. He plants his feet. How do we know you didn't have your mom wash these? Hey, Scout says. Don't talk to her that way. She told you Capone washed them, so Capone washed them. Piper beams at Scout. Here's your ticket. That's your proof, Piper says. Dell grabs a ticket. He reads it out loud. Alcatraz laundry number 015032. Then he shows it to all of us. That could have come off of anything, he announces. You could have picked that up off the ground. Yeah, but I didn't, Piper says. Yeah, but you could have, Dell says. Take it easy, Dell, Scout says. This seems to get Dell's attention. He looks at Scout, then back at Piper. I want my money back, he tells her. Sorry, no refunds, Piper says. I'm not doing this again, Piper, Dell says. He's got the bulk of his bag in his big self in Piper's face. I got better things to do with my nickels. Lucky thing, too, because that was one and only opportunity you'll ever get in your whole life. You can tell your grandchildren about it, Piper says. Yeah, right, Del mutters. I'll tell them about a brown haired girl who took our whole seventh grade class to the cleaners.